Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It's Saturday, it is the weekend, it is match day. Of course, Arsenal versus Aston Villa kicking off a little bit later on today at the Emirates. Huge game on the back of the North London derby win in midweek. Another 3 points, an absolute must for Arsenal. Revenge surely on their minds a little bit after what happened against Aston Villa last time out at the Emirates. A day I think we'll all remember and not look back on very fondly. Hopefully the team can respond to that today. So we're going to look into that game during today's video. We're going to look at what Martin Odegaard has been saying, some interesting stuff from him ahead of kickoff. We'll look at what Mikel Arteta has been saying. We'll look at what some of you guys have been saying. We'll do the predicted 11. Lots to get stuck into today on what is going to be a really, really big day. Obviously, on the back of the North London derby win, just lifted absolutely everyone after those 2 cup defeats. There was a lot of pressure going into that game against Tottenham midweek. The fact they came through it, they came from behind, got the win with Leandro Trossard scoring that goal just before half-time to win it 2-1. Just lifted the mood. It was such an important night, but all that good work would be undone if they don't get the 3 points today. Liverpool play Brentford first, so we're going to know where they are. Not an easy place to go. Arsenal obviously going there and winning not so long ago, but Brentford on the whole have been very, very strong at home, scored lots of goals. So it's not an easy game for Liverpool today. I think everyone will be looking at that as a potential banana skin for them. And if they do drop points there, then Arsenal absolutely, of course, have to take advantage again like they did in midweek. Martin Odegaard's been speaking ahead of the game in his captain's note for today's programme. A few of his comments now coming up. He said, we have to go on a run now like we did at this stage last season. We went out the FA Cup in the 3rd round last year. And of course, everyone is disappointed we have gone out again. But now we have to try and look at it in a different way. Let's try and use all the positive sides that we can. There will be fewer games for us. So let's do what we did last year and play a very strong second half of the season. Villa have been very strong for a few years now, and they are in the Champions League. So they're growing as a team all the time. It's another big test, but we beat them earlier in the season. And also we still have that feeling within us from last season when they beat us here. We want to put that right and show that we have learned from it. We have to be ready for it and make sure we win it this time. Now, this is a team that we kind of know uses past results as motivation. They've always done it over the last couple of years. And just the fact that Martin's even bringing that up, that defeat, as I did at the start, I'm sure that is going to be at the forefront of their minds. We all remember it. It's always a day that we look back on with so much regret, given how the end of the season sort of panned out afterwards. And I'm sure they will try and use that as motivation. It's not going to be enough. Obviously, you've got to play well, you've got to perform well, you've got to take your chances. What Arsenal didn't do in that game last time against Aston Villa at the Emirates was take their chances. They were excellent in the first half. Didn't score. Leandro Trossard missing a sitter. Yes, it was a good save by Emi Martinez, but there's no way he should have been given the opportunity to make that save. And Arsenal paid the price in the second half for those missed chances when Villa scored twice and went on and won the game. Odegaard also talking about his own performances in the matchday programme. He says, as for my own performance, I feel like I'm getting back to my best level. It's still not quite there yet, but it's getting better after the injury earlier in the season. I had some illness too, so I felt rough for a bit. Now I'm feeling great physically, and I feel like I'm performing well, creating lots of chances in games. I should have scored, though, against Spurs. That's really annoyed me. I didn't manage to do it because I'm looking for that goal. This is interesting. He says the atmosphere inside the stadium was absolutely top class from start to finish. You can see a lot of negativity on social media after the last 2 games. But when you come to the stadium and feel the support and energy, it is massive for us. And the atmosphere at the Emirates, it's always good at North London derby, obviously, especially if the result goes your way. But it was really, really good on Wednesday night, non-stop from the start. Even when Tottenham scored, it carried on. And, the players thrive from that. You could see that. They've all spoken about it. Declan Rice spoke about it after. Martin Odegaard speaking about it here. It is really, really important. And yes, there was a lot of negativity after the cup defeats. Not surprising because of those 2 back-to-back defeats. But I think as long as in the stadium on a match day, everyone gets behind the team, can really see the difference it makes. And it's not surprising that Odegaard sort of mentioned that, I think, in his programme notes. It's also interesting about his performance levels. When he talks about how he's... where is it? He said, I had some illness too, so I felt rough, but now I'm feeling great physically. I think you can see that in his recent performances. The running's back, the pressing is back. He looks more like Martin Odegaard. The thing that he needs to do is score some goals, because Arsenal desperately need those goals from midfield that we've come to expect from him in the last 2 seasons. Just isn't happening. Still hasn't scored from open play this season. Just not good enough, and he knows it. And he did miss a big chance against Spurs. Got to get those shooting boots on. If he can score one, hopefully that can kickstart him for the second half of the season. Right, on to some of Mikel's comments now before we get on to our predicted 11 for today's game. On facing Villa, he says, we know the difficulty of the team that they are. That's why they're performing so well. They have an excellent coach, very good players, really good organisation, and we are so used to that in the Premier League. It's not very different every 3 days. So tomorrow we're going to have to be really good again to win the game. On how important the last week has been in the title race. He says it's always important when we're able to win and capitalise on other teams dropping points. It's always a great week. Firstly, because we win. And secondly, because for the rest, it's not what they wanted. We need many more of those at the moment because of where we are. We need to stay very focused to understand that we want to do will be a challenge. And it will be a challenge. And we are relying on Liverpool dropping some points. But they've shown in recent results, not just against Nottingham Forest, but they are dropping some points. It's all about taking advantage. As Mikel said, Arsenal need lots more of the weeks that they had last week when Liverpool dropped points and Arsenal took advantage. 1 week's not going to be enough because of the position Liverpool are in and the lead they have and the game in hand they have. So you need more of them. And potentially this is one of those days, but it's going to be difficult. Because Liverpool, as good as Brentford are, like I've been mulling over my FPL captain's choice for this weekend. I was tempted to take it off Salah and put it on. Who was I going to put it on? I can't even remember. There was a couple of good choices to put it on. I brought Chris Wood into my team for the first time this season, which absolutely means he's going to go on he's going to blank now every single week. But I nearly put it on Chris Wood, and there was someone else I was tempted to put it on. I can't remember who, but I left it on Salah just because I was looking at Brentford and how they play. And yes, they do score a lot of goals at home, but they also concede a lot of goals. Their games at the G-Tech always turn into a bit of basketball type games. I think that's perfect for Liverpool and the way they play and how good they are in transition. So, yeah, as on paper, it looks like a difficult game for Liverpool, but I do have a feeling that Brentford might actually play into Liverpool's hands a little bit. But we shall see on that. So that's what Mikel had to say. Team news-wise, there's a lot of whispers at the moment about William Saliba. He wasn't in the training pictures yesterday. He did sort of hold the back of his leg towards the end of the Spurs game. People did notice that in the ground. He finished the game, but there was a little sign that maybe he was feeling something potentially in his hamstring. So lots of whispers about that doing the rounds, not helped by the fact he's not been in the training pictures when he is normally sort of front and center of the training pictures when they do come out. So we'll wait and see on that. I mean, if there is no Saliba, it certainly gives Mikel Arteta a decision to make in terms of what he's going to do. Do you move Jurriën Timber in to play alongside Gabriel and play Thomas Partey at right back? I think that's probably what he will do if Saliba is out. Obviously, you do have Jakob Kivior, but then that'd be a case of one of those two is going to have to play on the right side out of him and Gabriel. Do you really want to play two left footers and one of them on the right side? I'm not sure. I think he would probably go with the option of Timber into that position and Partey at right back, and then bringing in Jorginho probably as a 6. So we'll see on that. Hopefully not. Hopefully Saliba's fit. Hopefully, even if he wasn't training yesterday, that was just a precaution to make sure that he was fine for today's game, because they're playing so often now that it doesn't really matter if you're not training for one day. It's not like you're going to struggle to play in the game. So maybe it was just decided not to put him in the session. So we'll see on that. So this is a predicted 11 that I have gone for. As you can see, I'm going with Saliba, but that is just on, that's not based on information that he's definitely fit. I'm just presuming he will be fit. But if it's not, I think it will probably be Timber at centre back and Partey at right back, Jorginho at 6. So, but I'm going with him in the centre as one of the two centre backs today. So I've got Raya in goal, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Lewis, Skelly, Partey, Odegaard, Rice, Martinelli, Havertz, and Trossard. So the only change I've made from the team that won against Spurs is Martinelli coming in for Sterling. So Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Lewis, Skelly, Partey, Odegaard, Rice, Martinelli, Havertz, Trossard. But if Saliba's not fit and he's deemed not fit enough to play, I'm going Raya, Partey, Timber, Gabriel, Lewis, Skelly, Jorginho, Odegaard, Rice, Martinelli, Havertz, Trossard. That's not what I would want to do. Remember, that's what I think Mikel will do if William Saliba is not fit. Moving on to some of your questions and questions actually, but this is more what you guys would do in terms of team selections for today. Tyler says, hi Charles, praying the Saliba rumours aren't true. Even if there's a slight concern of his hamstring, then rest him, push Partey to right back, Timber centre back to partner Gabriel, keep Rice, Odegaard and Jorginho in midfield. Saliba hamstring injury is the absolute last thing that we need right now. You're absolutely spot on with that. And so I agree. If there is any sort of doubt over Saliba, if they are worried about the hamstring, 100% you leave him out today. As frustrating as that'll be and as worrying as that would be against as good an attacking team as Aston Villa, you cannot take a risk on William Saliba's hamstring at this point in the season. Tyler, you continue and say, I'd like to see Sterling start on left wing, allow him to cut in and place those killer passes to Havertz or Martinelli making runs. He's better suited on the left instead of being 1v1 direct on the right. By the way, Zubimendi would be a terrific signing, perfect Jorginho replacement. Can we not get a similar deal lined up for Sesko? I mean, they could, but ideally, right now, if you're going to sign a striker this window, you want him to come now rather than the summer. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing stopping them doing that if they could agree it with RB Leipzig, of course. Jovi from Jamaica says, I think the team should be Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, MLS, Partey, Odegaard, Rice, Trossard, Havertz, and Martinelli. Thank you very much, Jovi, for getting in touch. McCormick says, after what Morgan Rogers did to Partey at Villa Park, I would put Rice as 6 and try and match his athleticism and running power and put Marino as the left 8. Paul says, my team against Villa, Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, MLS, Captain Odegaard, Rice, Partey, Sterling, Havertz, Martinelli. Could swap Sterling for Martinelli and use Trossard on the left. Manager's choice. Bring home a revenge 2-0 win, please, or a scrappy 1-0 to the Arsenal. John says, I think with the 5-day gap to the Champions League match, we should attack this game like we attacked Spurs, get it over and done with in the first half. Villa can't take what we dished out to Spurs in the first half. I hope you're right, John. And Nostradana says, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, MLS, Partey, Rice, Odegaard, Sterling, Havertz and Trossard. So a little bit of different opinions in what you guys are saying. A few of you be keeping Sterling in for this game. Others bringing Martinelli back in for it. Thank you, everyone, for getting in touch. Just quickly before we go, Bukayo Saka, Mikel Arteta has been speaking about him and urging him to take a holiday. Saka's obviously doing, you saw him at the Spurs game. He was watching from the touchline against Spurs at the Emirates on crutches. He's been around the group the whole time since the injury, since the operation. Arsenal got a couple of away games coming up. They go to Wolves, obviously. Then they go over to Spain for the Champions League. And Mikel says that he should go on holiday during that point. He says he needs to. He's obligated to go with his girlfriend or his family. He can choose or on his own. He needs to get away for a few days and refresh. He can still do a lot of things with his rehab because it is a perfect stage. I think it will make him better. He has been around the squad every single day. There is a moment, especially when we're going to be away for a few days, that he needs to do that. Go on holiday. It's very important for him as well. We need to look after our players. Yeah. He spoke about it a little bit in the press conference yesterday as well, not the embargoed section, the live section about the sort of how you've got to try and take some positives out of this. And he said, look, this is Saka's basically played every single week for 2 years now. So as frustrating as it is, he needs to use this rehab as a good opportunity to refresh and get stronger as well. Yes, you've got to work really, really hard to get yourself back fit, but you also need to enjoy the rest that you have and use it to your body's advantage. So when you do come back, you're refreshed and you're ready to go. So I think it is an important time for Bukayo just to sort of mentally reset a little bit, let his body reset, but also mentally just kind of take a bit of stock after what's happened the last couple of years, because it's just been absolutely non-stop for him. We all want him back, like so quickly. Obviously, we want him back because it's going to absolutely massively help Arsenal's chances of doing something pretty special this season. But you've got to take your time and you've got to use this little break to your advantage. So, yeah, I thought that was quite interesting from Mikel Arteta. Elsewhere, some interesting transfer news doing the rounds in terms of Aiden Heaven, obviously a talented young player within the academy who Frankfurt are trying to sign. Reports he was spotted in the crowd yesterday at Frankfurt's game. And the Frankfurt CEO Marcus Kroos has been speaking at ESPN. Sorry, it's too early in the morning for me. ESPN. And he said, we spoke to Arsenal. We are trying to sign him. He's a really good prospect and we'll see if he can find a solution for him. The thing with Arsenal and Hayden, obviously, he hasn't signed his professional contract yet. He's still on scholarship terms. And he hasn't signed the professional contract that Arsenal are offering him. And it could well be, obviously, that he ends up moving on now. It could be one of those classic things of clubs from abroad come in, offering him a real sort of guaranteed first-team route to first-team football, especially abroad in the Bundesliga. So many young players have had success doing that. And it's hard. If you're Aiden Heaven, you're looking at your prospects at centre-back and you've got William Saliba and Gabriel ahead of you. It's pretty hard, I would say. And it would be a shame to lose him, but it happens. So we're waiting to see what goes on with him before the end of the transfer window. And that's it from me, everyone. Thank you very much for your time, as always, this morning. Enjoy the game if you're going there later. I'll be back in the morning to do a reaction show. As always, you want to get involved in that, come back to this video after the game. Leave me your comments, hopefully, about a very good Arsenal win. Tell me who impressed you, who didn't, all the usual stuff, and I'll pull some of them together and get them included in the show. Until then, have a great day, everyone. Have a great weekend. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.